What's the weirdest natural substance? Gallium. It's a metal, shiny, hard, but it will melt in your hand on a warm day. 29C89F. Water is kinda weird. It gets less dense when it solidifies. It has a large heat capacity and high boiling point for such a small molecule. It has properties of both acid and base. It's polar. https://n.m.wikipedia.org wiki properties of water. Mercury. Botulinum toxin. The lethal dose of it is less than 200 nanograms, 200 billionths of a gram for an average human, if it gets into the bloodstream. It's a protein produced by bacteria, and a single molecule is made up of around 20 ppm atoms. Humans have made neurotoxins that kill faster, but as far as I know, we haven't made anything that has a lower lethal dose. It's also known as Botox, and we use it to reduce wrinkles. Asbestos. I always thought it was a man-made substance, but no, it's mined. So, if you ever see a neat-looking tiger-striped piece of rock laying on the ground dark, and almost white bands, just leave it there. It could be raw asbestos. Totally weird response, and probs not at all the answer you intended, but I genuinely think flesh is one of the weirdest things ever. I think that of most of the organic matter that makes up our anatomy tbh, but especially skin flesh. The fact we all retain a shape, the fact it's so strong and tough, but also flimsy af. The way it heals when it's torn. It both fascinated me and ikes me right out. DMT. Hagfish slimates:/n.wikipedia.org wiki hagfish. Magic mushrooms, man. Wood perfect ring structure. Foxfire. Glow in the dark fungus. Ambergris. Diarrhea. There's some stuff out in the universe that is weirder than anything we have on Earth, like neutronium. It's so dense that a spoonful of it weighs more than the pyramid of Khufu. And if it didn't immediately explode, would fall through solid rock as easily as a rock falls through air. And then there's dark matter, which we literally don't even know what it is. In terms of natural substances on Earth, icosahedrite is pretty interesting. It's the first known naturally occurring quasi-crystal, which means it has a crystalline structure that doesn't repeat. You could in theory have a perfect infinite icosahedrite crystal, but no part of it would be arranged the same as any other part. Water, unironically. Black holes. An object so massive it breaks reality. When you think about it, lava magma. I mean, this is rock and it flows like soup. We humans have only recently even tried to recreate lava artificially. It takes so much heat to produce and maintain. In the natural world, this super hot liquid stuff coming up to the planet's surface has led to land forming. Glass is kind of a trip, because at its raw core it's literally melted sand. We can also melt it, but then we can shape it into other things, and we've been able to do it for centuries. It's also essentially just melted rock that is rehardened. Anything radioactive, really. It's barely 130 years since we were even aware of the phenomenon. Things like pitchblende, radium, radon. We can't see it, but it does mostly undesirable things to living cells nonetheless. If you carried a hunk of radioactive cobalt on you for a month, you wouldn't feel anything until you started noticing. n.wikipedia.org wiki 1962 Mexico City radiation accident, your flesh burning and peeling and you vomiting a lot, and possibly just dying. Scopolamine. Not only does it essentially act as a roofie, but instead of passing out you become incredibly friendly and agreeable. People take advantage of this by blowing it in someone's face. Then they hang out with them while the victims gives up all their money, and sometimes even their belongings. Even more fucked up is you don't remember shit after, so you randomly just wake up with absolutely no fucking clue what's happened. And any evidence you can find against it basically has you ruining your own life. Almo. Like, what the hell kind of substance is that? I'm gonna go with dimethyltryptamine. It is essentially the basis of chemical structure for all other psychedelics. It's a crystal that is found in all living things, and if you get enough of it, and make it hot enough to vaporize, and you inhale it, it takes your mind into another fucking dimension for 10 minutes, where you encounter the infinite and experience the sensation of totality and oneness, and then it quickly dissipates into vague mess of concepts, ideas, fragmented memories, and then 10 more minutes later, you cannot remember, but the vaguest of details. Also, not scientifically provable yet, but while you're there, it makes sense that this thing is the reason life exists at all. If you think rubber tree is the weirdest thing you saw in the Amazon forest, take a breath and search for the garin fruit. Don't be afraid. Now, about your question, if you think at it, wood is probably more rare and valuable than gold or diamonds or almost anything in the entire universe.